gives you extra points in the form of background information. General Studies 1. Topic: Indian culture will cover the salient aspects of art forms, literature, and architecture from ancient to modern times. 1. The journey of Indian literature is rooted in diversity and marked with a shift in theme, ideas, and styles. Substantiate with examples 250 words. Difficulty level difficult. Why the question? The question is part of the static syllabus of General Studies Paper 1 and mentioned as part of Mission 2022 Secure Timetable. Key demand of the question: write about shifting themes and directions of Indian literature. Structure of the answer: Introduction. Give a brief intro to Indian literature. Body. Trace the evolution of Indian literature with focus on changing themes, ideas, and styles. E.g., earliest literature, there were no rules and no separation between singing, poetry, dance, and philosophy, etc. Poetry dominated prose. Themes were mainly religious. Medieval times, newer forms of literature developed, e.g., dohas by Kabir, languages diversified, use of Persian languages and poetry. Modern times, Indian writers tried to emulate West, emergence of Reformation literature, e.g., Ram Mohan Roy's Precepts of Jesus. Conclusion. Rapidly advancing technology and the digital world have reduced the gap between the author and the reader. It has encouraged many youngsters to take up literature in a serious way. Self-publication and digital platforms, new avatars like science fiction, flash fiction, Instagram poetry has got evolved in the present times. Introduction. The Indian literary tradition is one of the oldest in the world. While a significant amount of the Indian literature is written, a lot more is propagated orally in regional languages, all of which have received an enormous reception worldwide. The hallmark of Indian literature over the past 3,000 years or so is diversity. The key to this diversity is the linguistic density of the Indian subcontinent and the willingness to absorb all wonderful things from any language or culture that people came across. Body. Journey of Indian literature. Ancient period. In the initial days, there were no hard and fast rules and hence no separation between singing, poetry, dance, philosophy, etc. We find that the writers, mainly sages, wrote most astonishing poetry and music as in Samaveda, highest philosophy as in Rig Veda, etc. During the time of Vedas in the northern plains region, exotic poetry and grammar were being developed in southern regions as well, in Tamil. We see early Sangam poetry that not only reflects the poet's thoughts and emotions but also provide a large number of clues to the highly civilized society that was in existence at that time. The corpus of Sangam literature includes Tolkappiyam, Etutogai, Pattukpittu, Pattinenkil Kanakku, and the two epics Silappatikaram and Manamagalai. The Bhakti reformers adopted the common language of the people and preached in it instead of preaching either in Sanskrit or in Persian. In this way, a great impetus was given to the development of the vernaculars. For instance, Baswanna and Akka Mahadevi wrote several vachanas in Kannada language. The Veera Sivas contributed the most for the development of Kannada literature. Medieval period. The emergence of a variety of literature in a large number of languages during medieval period and almost on all the subjects of human endeavor marks the medieval period as golden one for India. The literature during the Gupta period varied from topics of science, astronomy, medicine to Ayurveda by noted writers and poets. Sanskrit literature is as vast as the human life. Sanskrit literature refers to texts composed in Sanskrit language since the 2nd millennium BCE. Many of the prominent texts are associated with Indian religions, i.e., Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, and were composed in ancient India. Development of Sanskrit grammar began with Panini in 400 BC, with his book Astadhyayi being the oldest book in Sanskrit grammar. Sanskrit literature reached its peak with works by greats like Kalidasa, Vishnu Sharma, etc. Persian became the official language of Delhi Sultanate. The development of Persian literature in the subcontinent entered a new era in the writings of Amir Khusrau. The court chronicles were an important feature of the literature during the period of the Delhi Sultanate. The Mughal period constitutes a brilliant epoch in the cultural history of India. The period witnessed outburst of many side cultural activities, of which very significant strides were made in the development of literature. Both original works and translations were produced in large numbers in Persian. Hindi also saw important developments and so did Punjabi, Urdu. Moreover, many other regional languages also found a period of growth during this period. Vijayanagara literature was produced in the Vijayanagara Empire during a golden age of literature in South India in general. The rulers patronized Kannada, Telugu, Sanskrit and Tamil scholars who wrote in the Jain, Virashava and Vaishnava traditions. The period produced hundreds of works on all aspects of Indian culture, religion, biographies, prabandhas, stories, music, grammar, poetics and medicine. Pre-independence. In the late 19th and early 20th century, many writers across the languages tried to emulate their Western counterparts, especially when it came to stories and novels. That is no surprise given the amount of success these two genres had in the West. Raja Ram Mohan Roy's prose works is noteworthy. Indian writers have huge contribution in awakening the masses for freedom struggle. Many freedom fighters were also writers or vice versa or both. Their writings, poem made people aware about atrocities of British Raj. Bankim Chandra, Rabindranath Tagore, Munshi Premchand, Subramania Bharti are few noted writers who stirred the minds of people. The trend of Indian Romanticism ushered in by three great forces influenced the destiny of modern Indian literature. These forces were Sri Aurobindo's search for the divine in man, Tagore's quest for the beautiful in nature and man, and Mahatma Gandhi's experiments with truth and non-violence. Jawaharlal Nehru's prose works, The Discovery of India and Glimpses of World History, are famous. Post-independence. Post-independence India did see greater awareness on the part of the reading public as well as the government of the existence of many more and richer languages and literatures, beyond the limited periphery of one's own mother tongue or province. Writers received the opportunity of visiting new places and publicize their works. All this, with all its limitations, did stimulate a literary climate. Further, the industrial and scientific advancement throughout the country after independence also had an impact on Indian literature. In spite of the new vistas opened to the writers in the form of writing for the new mass media like the film, the radio and TV, the character of Indian literature continues to remain feudal, romantic, pastoral, idyllic and medievalist. Dalit literature is literature written by Dalits about their lives. Dalit literature emerged in the 1960s in the Marathi language, and it soon appeared in Bangla, Hindi, Kannada, Punjabi, Sindhi, and Tamil languages, through narratives such as poems, short stories, and autobiographies, which stood out due to their stark portrayal of reality in the Dalit political scene. In contemporary times, many new genres and subgenres have come into existence: fantasy, science fiction, flash fiction, mythology in a new avatar, Instagram poetry, etc. Rapidly advancing technology and the digital world have reduced the gap between the author and the reader. In fact, it has encouraged many youngsters to take up literature in a serious way. Self publication and digital platforms have also helped in this cause. Conclusion. Indian literature always had its own, unique style from the beginning. Contrary to the popular perception 2 decades ago, Indian literature did not go the Western way in taking up of mythology in a significant way in many languages and presenting the same to suit the sensibilities of the 21st century is one example. Topic: Indian culture will cover the salient